Shabbat Shalom. The story of Jacob and Esau is one of the most painful and tragic stories in the entire Torah. And of course, it is the centerpiece of this week's Torah portion of Toldot. In short, Jacob and Esau were born twins, but could not have been more dissimilar. Esau was the strong man's man, if you will, out hunting and, according to our tradition, pillaging the world around him, as opposed to Jacob, who was more in line with the people of the tents, more of a homebody, if you will. And they did not get along, even from within the womb. Esau, being the eldest, had certain privileges, certain status, certain rights, according to the ancient Near Eastern laws. One of those was the right to a birthright, which was the right to a double portion of the inheritance. When Isaac would pass, his estate would be divided in three, 2 portions given to Esau, 1 portion given to Jacob. When Esau came back hunting, famished from having found nothing, Jacob saw an opportunity and said, well, you know, I'll sell you this soup I've been making here at home for your birthright, for your share of the inheritance. So I'll get 2 and you'll get 1 portion when Dad finally dies. Esau, being the impetuous person, said, fine, just give me the soup. And so the deal was struck. When Isaac did finally approach the time of his passing, he turned to his favorite, Esau, and said, go out and hunt something for me that I may be able to eat it in the way you prepare and give you the blessing from my full heart and stomach. Esau goes out, and Rebekah, whose favorite was Jacob, said, now is the chance to get your father's blessing. Quick, dress up like your brother, add a little extra sheepskin to your arms, and I will prepare soup that is just like what your father is expecting your brother to bring back. You will go in, and in his current blindness, he will bless you instead of your brother. And Jacob did. And no sooner had the blessing been done, and Jacob had left the room, but Esau comes back. And Esau's heart breaks because his father has given the blessing to Jacob rather than him. Not only had he lost the birthright, but now he has also lost the blessing as well. And he says to himself, fine, I can fix this. As soon as Dad is dead, because I still respect him a little, I will go and kill my brother. Problem solved. Spoiler, Jacob doesn't get killed, but gets out of town ahead of the murder, and that will be something we will cover in next week's Torah portion. But let's back up here for just a little second. Have you ever been so angry at a person and what they had done to you that you contemplated, is there a way I could end their life a little early? You don't need to show me your hands. I'm not looking for confessions. But perhaps we can understand that feeling that Esau had, that fire in him of having been betrayed by his brother, of having missed on what was his due. But is murder, is violence an appropriate response? No. According to Jewish law, violence and murder is never an appropriate response for what is essentially a property crime. Someone steals your car, you catch them afterwards, you don't get to murder them. Someone steals your cow, a cattle rustler perhaps. You don't get to hang them up from a tree. Now, this may sound obvious to us, and I hope it does, but remember, until the 20th century, there were many parts of Western civilization where hanging a person for a property crime was the absolute norm, and usually in public. Not just a lynch mob, not just the posse that would chase you down, but full, regular justice could hang people for these types of crimes. In Judaism, we say no. There are capital offenses, murder being the most obvious, which the punishment is death. But wait, I can hear you saying, what if Esau came in while Jacob was deceiving his father? Wouldn't he then, in that moment, have the right to stop this crime from being committed, the right to stop his brother from deceiving their father, the right to kill him? No. Good answer. No. It would not be appropriate in that moment either. Just as if you were to look out your bedroom window and see somebody about to steal your car, you are not allowed to get out your rifle and finish them from the window for what they are doing to your car. But then you must ask, well, when do I get to use my rifle that's sitting so conveniently next to my bedroom window? When am I allowed to kill a person? Not through the normal means of judicial execution, of having had a proper trial, but in the moment, are there no times? Certainly, there are the times of battle and war. But in the normal course of life, are there no criminal moments when lethal force can be used? And Judaism answers this with yes, there are some circumstances. It is called the condition of the rodef. A rodef is known as the pursuer. If, to go into the cadence of Talmudic discussion, if you see a person chasing after another, knife raised, ready to plunge it into them, and you are standing there with your bow and arrow, and the only way to save the intended victim is to kill the person who is about to attack them, can you shoot them? They haven't committed the crime yet. Right? The knife is still out of the other person's body. Are you allowed to stop them at the cost of the attacker's life, even when they have not committed the crime yet? I'm seeing a few brave people nodding their heads. I'm seeing a lot of other people who seem rather confused, a couple of shaking and thumbs down. And I'm glad that you're hesitating, because it is something that should give us pause. The idea that there are moments when we could take a person's life before they have committed the crime in order to prevent them from committing that crime should be the kind of situation where we wonder, wait, which is the right way to go? And Judaism says that yes, in this circumstance, when there is an immediate, in the modern American parlance, clear and present danger to another person from this would-be attacker, and, which is a very important word, and the only way that you can stop them from committing this crime is through the use of lethal force, then you may use lethal force. However, if any of those conditions do not apply, then you may not. If you are not doing this to save a person from this act of murder, or also the act of rape is one of the other categories which is permitted to use lethal force to stop. If it is not that, but a property crime, or somebody being obnoxious, or somebody being maybe perhaps verbally abusive, you are not allowed to use lethal force. If you have at your disposal a way to stop that person which is non-lethal, and which will still allow the would-be victim to be unharmed, you are commanded to use the non-lethal form. That is to say, if you have two guns, one of which will stop the person and one of which will kill them, and both of them are equally acceptable and have the equal chance of stopping them, you must use the non-violent, the non-lethal form of restraint. And if it is not immediate, if it is not at the moment, you are not allowed to preemptively haul someone from their house saying, I think you're a no-goodnik and somebody who's going to cause trouble. I'm going to just take care of that problem today. Under all of those other circumstances, a person who claims that they are doing this for the good of another to protect others are instead themselves murderers. Judaism very, very carefully limits the use of lethal force, because we recognize that had lethal force been used simply because a person felt viciously and perhaps justifiably aggrieved, when Esau felt he was aggrieved, then we, Bnei Yaakov, the children of Jacob, we would not be here today. If Esau had gotten his way, our entire people would have been wiped out before we even began. Shabbat Shalom.